Hi, I'm Remy from the UK, but you can call me Sherlock. I solved my first case when I was 6. My dad's a businessman and my mum's a socialite. They were always dragging me to different parties where I was dying of boredom. Have you seen this bag from the latest collection? But one day, something happened that turned my life upside down.
Someone stole my wallet! You've been hanging around here the whole time. I didn't take anything.
I felt sorry for the waiter and decided to help him. When did you last see your wallet?
About half an hour ago, when I paid for the cab.
I went outside, checked the bushes near the entrance, and had a look around at the car park. I thought I looked like Sherlock, but honestly, I probably looked more like a dog sniffing out food. Got it!
This is for you. Thank you for finding it.
From that moment, I had a dream. To become a proper detective. But my parents didn't exactly share my excitement.
What on earth are you wearing? How many times do I have to tell you to dress like a young lady?
Sorry, it's a bit tricky to chase criminals in high heels.
Because of your nonsense, you've completely neglected your studies.
Dad was right. School didn't exactly thrill me, but I still had one reason to go. Some time ago, I put up flyers so anyone who needed help could come to me.
Oh, you investigate crimes? I actually need to find out who keeps nicking the ham from my sandwiches.
Most of the time, people ask me to deal with silly stuff like that. But one day, a proper case came along. My new laptop's gone! My parents will grab me for life! Don't worry, Detective Remy's on the case. I questioned witnesses, pieced together the facts, and found out the laptop had been nicked by a group of school bullies. That same day, I confronted them.
Shouldn't you be off playing somewhere else, kid?
Let's see how tough you are when this kid reports you to the police. I could tell my threat got to them, so I planned to deal with them again after school. But things didn't go to plan. The last period was PE. I left my phone in my locker and went out to the pitch. Then I heard someone call me. I went into the shed where the gardening tools were kept, and the door slammed shut behind me. Oi! Somebody let me out!
Go on then, try calling the coppers now.
I shouted for help, but no one heard me. They'll find me in about 50 years, when I've gone all wrinkly. I had to sit there in the dark all night before someone finally found me. When my parents heard what happened, they were furious.
This has gone too far. Your detective obsession is getting dangerous.
The only good bit was that the gang of bullies got in even more trouble than I did. Good thing the holidays are starting. We've signed you up for an elite camp.
It's out in the woods where there's no cell coverage. The kids are busy with proper activities all day, so you won't have time for any nonsense.
That was a low blow. My parents didn't even ask what I thought, and were about to ship me off to camp like a parcel, not a person. We had a big row, and I stayed in my room for several days.
How long are you going to sulk?
With just a couple of days before my trip, my curiosity finally kicked in. I looked up the camp online and found their website. No internet, morning yoga and healthy eating. Brilliant. Just what I needed. I was about to close the browser when one article caught my eye. 5 years ago, a group of teenagers at this camp went missing and were never found. And a year ago, another lad disappeared. He was some troublemaker from a children's home, so everyone assumed he'd just done a runner. Rumors about those weird cases are still floating around online. There's definitely something dodgy about this place. I've got to get to the bottom of it and prove to my parents what I'm capable of. All packed and ready to go.
What's the catch?
What? Can't a daughter just be well behaved for once? The camp really was in the middle of nowhere, but it looked like a proper fancy hotel. Once I checked in, I grabbed my swimsuit and a book of detective stories and headed out to chill by the pool. Time to set up a stakeout and see what's really going on here. After a while, it got too hot, so I decided to cool off. First, I grabbed a smoothie, then changed and jumped into the pool. But as I climbed out, I realized a group of teens were laughing at me. At first, I didn't get it. Then I realized my swimsuit had ripped.
Here, take this.
At that moment, this gorgeous bloke honestly felt like a gift from above. No idea how that even happened.
Those lot did it. They were here last year, and now they're winding up all the newbies.
There's nothing funny about wrecking someone's stuff. Must have nicked it while I was getting my drink. Oi, do you want me to pay for a tailor? No thanks. I actually prefer it like this. Thanks for the free upgrade. Weirdo. The guy who helped me was called Drake. Once we'd settled on the loungers, he noticed my book.
You like detective stories?
Actually, I came here to solve a case. Yeah, I just wanted to show off a bit. I was not prepared for what was about to happen next. As soon as I mentioned the disappearances at camp, Drake's expression changed.
The lad who went missing here last year was my mate. His name was Chuck. He used to run off from the children's home, so they sent him here through some charity initiative. Thought it might help straighten him out, but then he vanished. Everyone just assumed he'd legged it again.
So you reckon something really did happen to him?
I'm sure of it. His phone's been off ever since. He called me not long before he disappeared and said weird things were happening around camp. He wanted to dig into into it, and then he was gone.
Drake suggested we team up to investigate. Looks like I've got myself a real-life Dr. Watson. And an awfully handsome one, too. That night, everyone sat around the fire. After the camp director's welcome speech, someone suggested playing Truth or Dare. This is the perfect chance to pick up some clues. Truth. What do you think really happened to Chuck? The boy who was here with you last summer. He left at the end of camp.
Yeah, he was always on about running off to some rock festival in another city.
No leads. And before long, it was my turn. Dare. You've got to go into the forest alone. Far enough that you can't see camp anymore. I was a bit scared, but I was not going to look like a coward in front of everyone. It's pitch black out here. Suddenly, something glinted on the ground. I bent down and picked up a keychain shaped like a guitar. Before I could take a proper look, out of the shadow stepped a monster! I bolted backward toward the campfire, and the monster came running after me. What's got you so rattled? Saw a bat or something? There was some kind of monster out there. Everyone just laughed, except for Drake. And then I got told off by the camp director. Turns out the whole camp's surrounded by security cameras.
Leaving camp at night is strictly forbidden.
Later, I showed Drake the keychain I'd found.
This belongs to Chuck. He never went anywhere without it.
The next morning, on my way to yoga, I noticed a couple of little kids from the junior group arguing about something. I really did see it! The forest monster!
All right, pull the other one.
Where exactly did you see this monster? It comes out of the forest in the evenings and watches the camp. At sunset, Drake and I set up a stakeout behind the cabins. Then suddenly, someone came up behind us and tapped me on the shoulder. I nearly jumped out of my skin.
Bloody hell, mate!
Excuse me, my name's actually Wendy.
She wants to show me that the monster's real.
It was getting dark, and I was starting to think Wendy had made it all up, until someone actually stepped out of the forest. It's a man. I was about to get closer, but he spotted us and walked off quickly. I decided to tell the camp director there was someone wandering around near the camp, but he didn't believe a word of it.
Nonsense. We've got an excellent surveillance system. There's no one out there.
So, we snuck into the staff cabin instead. We need to dig up some info on the missing kids. While Drake kept watch, I went through the camp director's office. There was nothing about last summer's campers, but I did come across one interesting photo. That's him! According to the caption, his name was Mark, and he was the camp director's brother. If only we had internet access, we could find out more.
Leave that to me.
Drake managed to pinch the key to the computer room. Once it got dark, we got to work.
Look at this. 10 years ago, Mark was sent to prison, but he got out thanks to the fancy lawyers the camp director hired for him. Then, 5 years ago, when those teenagers disappeared, people suspected him again, but the charges were dropped for lack of evidence.
The only person who's testified against him was Mrs. Brown, who runs a nearby farm. We have to talk to her. The next day, we found a spot in the back garden where there wasn't a camera. Drake kept watch while I climbed over the fence and headed to the farm. Mrs. Brown turned out to be really sweet and agreed to help.
I told everyone Mark was completely bonkers, but no one believed me. His brother always covered for him.
Did you see something?
5 years ago, he took those lads into the woods, and they never came back.
What about last year?
Yes, I did notice him hanging around with one young man. I think his name was Chuck.
When I got back to camp, I told Drake everything I'd found out.
We'll need more evidence if we want to corner Mark.
Then we'll have to search his cabin. We spent the next few days getting ready for it. One afternoon, while I was walking around the yard thinking through the plan, I noticed something odd. After checking the roots, I found a small hollow underneath. Someone's stash. There's something hidden in here. Why do they give us so few treats here? I want some sweets. Soon after, Drake and I slipped away from the camp. We followed Mark and managed to find out where he lived. Once he left, we quietly made our way into the forest cabin. At first, we didn't see anything useful, but then Drake found a clue.
This is Chuck's bag. It's his favorite band.
That's why he wasn't answering his phone. We took the bag and headed back to camp. On the way, Drake admitted that he blamed himself for what happened.
I should have believed Chuck straight away. I feel awful about it.
You know, I've been in a similar situation, one I was ashamed of. When I was little, I wanted attention so badly that I stole someone's wallet. Then I pretended I'd just found it. But later, I got really into solving cases, so in a way, it all worked out for the best. As we got closer to camp, we saw Mark again. He was standing at the edge of the woods, talking to the camp director.
Let them go or I won't cover for you anymore. No one's taking them. They're mine.
Now we've got enough evidence. The next day, we tried to sneak into the computer room to get online and contact the police. But there was always someone hanging about nearby. If you want sweets that badly, try nicking some from the kitchen.
I think I had some signal when we were heading to the cabin.
Then keep watch for me. I'll try to make a call in the woods. Once I was outside the camp, I held out my phone, trying to catch a signal. That's when a tall figure blocked my way. Mark! Chuck! I spun around to run, but bumped straight into the camp director.
And where do you think you're going?
That's it! I'm done for! My imagination ran wild with horror scenes, but all they did was drag me back to camp.
Let her go!
We all know what you've been up to. When the camp director took us to his office, we showed him the evidence. But instead of looking scared or angry, he suddenly started laughing.
My brother's a bit odd, but he's completely harmless. That conversation you filmed was about wild animals. Mark tames them, even though it's against the rules.
And what about the missing teens? And what Miss Brown said?
Mrs. Brown's got a personal grudge against him. That's why she keeps spreading stories. Mark used to run guided tours in the woods 5 years ago. The teens did get lost once, but he found them and brought them back safely.
But those articles online.
Journalists will exaggerate anything for a headline. That still doesn't explain what happened to Chuck. Your mate ran off and spent months wandering around different towns, living in a van with other runaways. But a couple of weeks ago, social services found him and brought him back to the children's home. I don't believe you. Then maybe you'd like to ask him yourself.
Sorry, mate. I should have called you ages ago and told you everything.
But we found your backpack in Mark's cabin.
What? No way. I hid it somewhere safe, but never managed to go back for it.
Care to explain yourself, young lady? Or shall I show you the footage from the backyard cameras you missed?
This is officially the most embarrassing moment of my life. Please don't throw rotten tomatoes at me once you find out. So, I was the one who planted the backpack in Mark's cabin. I found it buried under the tree. Back then, I was so sure Mark was guilty that I thought one extra piece of evidence couldn't hurt.
I can't believe this. You really haven't changed since that wallet stunt you pulled as a kid.
Honestly, I've never felt this ashamed. Not even when I was 6. I got so caught up in playing detective that I nearly framed an innocent man. I'm really sorry. Things stayed quiet for the rest of camp. I gave Drake my favorite book, took over his dining duty, and kept pestering him until he forgave me. Once we made up, I decided it was time to focus on school for a change. So when my parents came to pick me up, they found the picture-perfect daughter. I'm sorry for all the stress. I promise no more dangerous adventures or skipping classes.
So, no more detective work?
Actually, I was hoping you'd let me take a proper course. I still want to be a detective. I'll just be a bit more sensible about it this time. Seeing how serious I was, my parents gave in.
Fine. We'll talk about it at home.
Hang on! Where's Wendy from the junior group? We haven't seen her! Don't worry, I'll sort it out. Hurry up, Sweet Tooth, or that bus is leaving without you. Maybe I do have a knack for this detective stuff. For now, though, I'll stick to tracking down sweets and solving little school mysteries. What do you reckon? Do I have what it takes to be a real detective?